Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. And we got something that will hopefully leave you feeling inspired today. I have the incredible John Kippen with me today. And John is a TEDx speaker, he is a resilience coach, he is a magician, he is a man of many, many talents. And yeah, it's an honor to have him here with us today. So, hey, John.
Good morning. I'm
Brilliant. So I
I'm
was just,
happy to be here.
oh, thank you. It's such a joy. When we first connected, I was like, oh my gosh, a magician. Why would I have a magician on the podcast?
Uh-huh.
But I was really, really intrigued, and there's so much. Yeah, that I'm hoping that our audience gets from this conversation today with regards to your story and some inspiration. But do you want to do a little intro to who you are, John?
Sure. So I'm a 60-year-old old man living in Los Angeles. I grew up with a privileged childhood with two loving parents, both attorneys. I decided to go a different route and I got into theater and I started learning how to think creatively, both behind the stage and in front of the stage.
Yeah.
Went to college, studied theater, had excuse me, amazing experiences.
Hmm.
And then out of college, I started my consulting company, a computer consulting company, which is doing very well. And then in 2002, I was diagnosed with a 4.5 centimeter brain tumor.
Hmm.
And they removed it very quickly, 4 days since from diagnosis to surgery.
Hmm.
And I guess my downward spiral began when I woke up in surgical recovery and it was hard to come awake. But finally, when I did come to, my dad was sitting on the edge of the bed holding my hand and smiling. But I didn't see my mom, so I asked for my glasses. And as I tried to put the glasses on, I realized my head was bandaged, so
Hmm.
that was hard. And then I looked over in the corner, and there was my mom, and the look on her face was one of horror.
Hmm.
What did these butchers do to my poor son's face?
Yeah.
And they had said that, excuse me, they had said that there was possibility of some facial weakness,
Hmm.
but they had every hope that it would get better on its own. As you can see, 40 years later, it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those that are listening, John suffered from facial paralysis down the left-hand side of his face. Those of you that are watching on YouTube might obviously be able to observe the paralysis, but you know obviously that was an incredibly challenging moment. And how have you come back from that?
It wasn't easy. I found myself hiding from life. My consulting job gave me the opportunity to work from home.
Hmm.
I didn't have to go out and be amongst people. I only had a really close knit set of friends who would support me
Yeah.
as well as my parents. And time passed very quickly. And 18, 19 years passed, and I said, it's time to get out amongst and see what I can accomplish.
Hmm.
So I had always done magic as a kid, ever since my uncle pulled a coin out of my ear.
Hmm.
And in Los Angeles, there's a private club called the Magic Castle,
Hmm.
which is where magicians perform for guests and friends.
Yeah.
So I auditioned and I passed the audition. And then I started performing little by little.
Yeah.
And I got enough material together, 15 or 20 minutes, to be able to sit down behind a table and perform. And and people were curious about my face.
Hmm.
So it kept them from being in the moment of my magic.
Okay.
And they were like, did he have Bell's palsy? Did he have a stroke? Why is his face paralyzed? So I decided to change the opening of my act, and I would say, guys, welcome. My name is John, and I've been doing magic all my life.
Hmm.
But in 2002, I had a brain tumor, and when they cut out my brain to get the tumor, they traumatized my facial nerve, hence the paralyzed face. But something happened to me on that operating room table. I'm not sure what it was because I was unconscious. All I know is I recovered. I realized, oh, I had acquired some new skills. And then I would pause and wait for the audience to get on the edge of their seats, waiting for me to tell them what possible skills
Hmm.
I could have acquired from going through brain surgery. Excuse me. And I would look to my right and look to my left like it was the biggest secret in the world. And I would lean in and say, guys, I am able to visualize people's thoughts.
Hmm.
And then I would start doing some mental magic, mentalism.
Yeah.
And what I did was two things that answered the question that they weren't about to ask.
Hmm.
But number two, it shared something personal about me.
Yeah.
And so they saw that I had gone through trauma and come out the other side a winner.
Hmm.
And that they were attracted to that.
Yeah.
They were attracted to my strength and my courage of going out in public with a paralyzed face and not caring what other people thought about
Yeah. So that's quite a point to get
it.
to from, being in hiding, being at home. What tools or what supported you in kind of making that transition from being at home to suddenly deciding, right, I'm going to audition and go and stand up in public and perform magic?
I lived my life for the good or bad of it, thinking that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Hmm.
And that's bit me in the butt a couple times,
Hmm.
but it's also offered me some of the most wonderful experiences of my life. I wrote a book a couple years ago called Playing the Hand You're Dealt,
Yeah.
and it basically talks about all of the shenanigans I got into and all of the recovery and what I was able to accomplish. And I'll be offering all of you a digital copy of that book at the end.
Thank
So you
you.
need to listen to the end in order to get the link because it won't be in the show notes.
Hmm.
But anyway, so it was mirrors and photos that really bothered me.
Hmm.
I have full feeling in my face, and the only time I realize it's paralyzed without looking in the mirror is when I try to drink out of the soda can,
Okay.
and then it just dribbled down my shirt. So I'm a straw kind of guy.
Hmm.
But when people saw my strength, my courage,
Hmm.
they were attracted to that. And I found through my magic, I started to attract people who were going through their own traumas in their lives.
Hmm.
I don't know how many people with cancer I had performed for, and at a minimum gave them a half hour of escapism from what was preoccupying their mind.
Hmm.
But many of them ended up turning into coaching clients and that's why I have a resilience and empowerment coaching program
Yeah. Yeah.
because whatever your medical issue is doesn't need to define you if you don't let it.
Hmm.
And that's easier said than done. So I live that every day of my life as an example to others. If John can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's just who I've become.
Hmm.
I get so much fulfillment of helping people get out of their own way. We all get in our way from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
for people that are maybe feeling, that they're fearful or they're hiding, where could they start to shift that?
One of my sayings, other than being different is your superpower,
Hmm.
is feed your heart with your art. Find whatever you're passionate about
Hmm.
and use that in your everyday life because, and let people know what you're passionate about.
Hmm.
Because when you're passionate, the true you comes out.
Yeah.
And that's what people see. People see an amazing individual who has worked very hard on whatever this passion is that they have. And you
Hmm.
can't help be attracted to them because they glow with this happiness and this joy. You know, the meaning of life is, at least for me, is to fill as many moments of life with joy as possible.
Mm.
And, you know, once you go through something like I went through and you start helping other people, and it just becomes second nature, it just becomes who you are.
Yeah.
You start to bring people joy. And in turn, that brings you joy. And it's like a drug. You want to do it
Yeah.
more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know, of course, I charge for my coaching because it's a lot of work, and I only have limited number of hours a week to
Hmm.
coach people. But, you know, I'm able to guide people to figure out what their limiting beliefs are.
Hmm.
I talk about dreaming a lot. As kids, we dream.
Yeah.
As a little boy, I would have my parents would have a friend come over, an adult friend, and they'd say, John, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Hmm.
And I would sit there and thinking for a minute. I'd say, I think I want to be a policeman.
Yeah.
No, wait, I want to be a doctor. No, no, I want to be a rock star. And then I would go into my room and grab two rulers and start banging on stuff like I'm playing the drums
Yeah.
and pull out my air guitar. And I could be in that land of make believe for hours, or at least until mom called me for dinner. And then you start growing up and you go to school and you get a job and you build a career and a family. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden you get to be my age and you look back and you go, God, I think I did everything I wanted to do. Why do I feel so empty? Why
Hmm.
do I feel so miserable? And it's because you didn't follow your own dream. You followed someone else's. You were living someone else's dream, your parents' dream or your sister's dream or your teacher's dream.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time with my clients helping them learn how to dream again
Hmm.
without any kind of limitations, financial, physical, emotional, whatever. Just close your eyes and imagine what you want the rest of your life to look like.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be? We have limited time on this earth.
Hmm.
And again, I say the real meaning of life is to touch others and to help others when they're feeling low.
Yeah.
You can't feel, you can't help feeling joy when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a great conversation, around dreaming. And I think post COVID in particular, I've witnessed that people have stopped dreaming. People have kind of just been in such a state of fear that it's like, okay, we're just staying put. We're not dreaming, we're not stretching ourselves, we're not and I had struggled with a period of depression myself around 4 years ago. And at that point, that was one of the things I realized. I was like, I'm not dreaming anymore. Like I've stopped dreaming, and I've always been a very goal-orientated, dream-focused individual, and that was one of the things that made me so sad, that realization that I'm not dreaming. And interestingly, before recording this podcast, I was just guiding a client through a dream visualization, connecting to her dream life and her legacy. And it's just so powerful, having these visions and having these goals that can light and ignite that spark within you, that we all have these, yeah, elements of ourself that we want to fulfill, but for whatever reason they're hidden.
This world is in trouble. No matter what country you live in, there's politics, there's war, there's division, there's alienation. And all we can do as individuals is do the best job we can and be as generous as we can with others and be um, compassionate
Hmm.
and consider other people's feelings along with ours. It's just, it's the time that we all need to reevaluate who we want to be seen as.
Hmm.
You mentioned COVID. You know, I spent 12 plus years learning how not to hide my face.
Yeah.
And what happened in March 2020? Wearing a face mask became not only politically correct, but government mandated. And I sat there thinking, there's no way in heck I am going to cover my face. So I found a company online that would print things on face masks.
Hmm.
And so I sent a picture of my face to that company, and they printed a half a dozen face masks with my own face on it.
Hmm.
And that's a face mask I would wear in public.
Hmm.
And strangers didn't get it, but people who knew me
Hmm.
would do a double take. And without saying a word, they would think to themselves, wow, John refuses to hide his face even in the global pandemic.
Hmm.
You know, we all have our own belief systems, and as long as you're willing to challenge them from time to time, they keep you on the straight and narrow.
Hmm.
And living authentically to those beliefs um, is how you need to show up in the world. And it's amazing what opportunities come to you
Hmm.
when you're your own authentic self.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's why I became a speaker and a coach to try to help people get out of their own way.
Yeah, amazing. I love, yeah, that turning, um, something that has been so challenging for you into something so empowering and inspiring for others. So yeah, tell me a bit about your coaching program and what inspired you with like the creation of that or how it works.
I started coaching people without realizing I was coaching people
Mhm.
through my magic and storytelling because that's what I am. I'm a storyteller. And all of a sudden, I started having people have amazing transformations in my presence. One woman who was dressed in all baggy black clothes, who was wearing a hat that reminded me of a witch's hat, was walking down the hallway at the Magic Castle. And as she approached, I said, "Hi, how are you?" She stopped. But the look on her face was one of just leave me the heck alone.
Mm,
I'll apologize. So she went downstairs to catch up with her friends, and I caught up with them. And I said, "Guys, you having a good time?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, this is great." But I said, have you seen any really good close-up magic? And they shrugged their shoulders. So I said, "Come on, let's go."
mm,
And I took them to this little table in the corner. And the woman who was dressed in baggy black clothes, her name was Darren, and I put her to my right. And I made every magical moment about her. Everything that happened was because she did something.
mhm,
And my goal for that evening was just to get Darren to smile. That was it. That was my goal. So as I performed, all of a sudden she started sitting up straight and she took off that funny looking hat and She started to smile and her eyes started to dance, and I could tell whatever baggage, sorry,
No, you're good.
whatever baggage she brought with her that night was gone.
Mm,
And I finished the show and they wanted more. So I shared the story about how I had hid from life because I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin for
mm,
12, 13 years. And how magic allowed me to come out of that shell. And all of a sudden she motioned for me to stand. And she gave me one of these bear hugs that you don't soon forget. It's like you
mm,
haven't seen your brother in 20 years.
mm,
And after she let go, she stepped back and she was crying and she looked up and she said, John, I need to share something with you. 4 years ago, I had a double mastectomy because I have the BRCA1 gene. And all the women in my family, my mom, my aunt, and my sister, all had their breasts removed. And I was the last in the family to do that.
mm,
And when I heard your story, it made me immediately realize that I had been hiding too by my choice in clothes and funny hats to hide my face and not making eye contact. I think you just shaved 8 years off of my hiding.
mm.
And she made herself a promise with her friends and I as witnesses that that would be the last night she would hide.
Yeah.
And I fell back in my chair. I was completely overwhelmed. I had no expectation that my story and my courage would come through and help someone change their life in an instant.
Mm,
And at that point, I realized that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people change their lives for the better by learning how to accept them with all their flaws and all their graces.
mm.
That it's who we are, and we should be proud of that, not ashamed of who we are.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into coaching.
Hmm. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I just think self-acceptance is one of our biggest struggles, self-acceptance and self-love. And as you say, if we can accept ourselves with as we are, with whatever flaws we may have, it's a really, really magical space to be in. So for anybody who is kind of struggling with low confidence or yeah, just not feeling great about themselves, do you have any kind of tips that might support them and helping them shift that energy, shift that?
Surround yourself with people who love you,
Mm,
and alienate people who are jealous of you or are mean to you because that's on them. That's not on you.
yeah.
Don't let people tear you down to make themselves feel better. And unfortunately, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes for your own mental health, you just have to say bye bye
Hmm.
to those people. Um, Find people who have common interests and try to befriend them, with hobbies or whatever, because that that helps unify the two of you and helps other people want to support you because you want to support them.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's all your life is all about who you choose to surround yourself with.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's such an important thing. And yeah, I think sometimes we can feel like we don't have choices in that, but actually we nearly always always do. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's so important. And um when I'm kind of like going through this podcast, I tend to ask for kind of like little bits of inspiration in and around mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, or physical health. But yeah, like what do you use to, so obviously you've mentioned kind of being around the right people there. What do you use yourself to support your own well-being?
I do things I love to do,
Hmm.
you know. Um, I still perform magic. I live alone, but I have an amazing dog and I spend a lot of time with her The love of an animal is something that you can't replace.
Yeah.
It's
What
different.
kind of dog is she?
She's a mutt. She's part pit bull, part black lab.
Oh,
Her name is
gorgeous.
Carolina. She's around 4 years old, and I'm her everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to come in this room right now and hang out with us. But
Yeah.
the I don't know. It's you got to live life for yourself
Mhm,
as long as, and for others. You can make a difference in someone else's life, and when you do, boy, do you feel good.
mhm,
I had a client who was I also coach magicians,
mhm.
and not on technical magic, on storytelling
Yeah.
and on presentation. And so I met this gentleman, and he said, "Can you coach my son who was 25 or 26?" And I said, "Sure." So we would get together once a week, and his dad was paying for his magic lessons, and I gave him a good rate because I was having as much fun coaching him as he was
Mhm,
learning. And all of a sudden, his dad called me and said, "I don't know how long I'm going to be able to continue paying for my son's lessons. I was just diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they're giving me 3 to 6 months to live." I said, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry to hear that." He said, "But the really hard part is that when I shared that with my son, he completely closed off,
mhm,
and he stopped returning my phone calls, and he just completely shut himself down. And he's my everything. He's the only relative I have in this world, and I was counting on him to help me through this period in my life.
mhm,
And I haven't even seen him in weeks. I don't know what to do." And I said, "Leave it to me." So I called the son, and he was surprised to hear from me because it wasn't our typical Saturday when we'd get together to do magic. He was like, "Hey, John, what's going on?" I said, "I'm here to talk to you about something really important. And it's not about magic. It's about your dad." He called me and he told me his diagnosis, and he
mhm,
told me you took it really, really hard. And in taking it hard, you have kind of closed yourself off from him.
mhm,
And I'm going to make you a promise that if you don't resurrect that relationship like today, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
mhm,
You have an opportunity to help the one person who's been there your entire life and guiding you and helping you and supporting you. And now's the time. Do you return that favor and just be present? And he said, "Yeah." He started crying and he was like, "I know, I feel so guilty about it, but I don't know what to do." And I said, "It's simple." I said, "Okay, tell me." I said, "All right, what's your dad's favorite meal?" He said, "Oh, he loves Hawaiian pizza." I said, "Go Friday night, go to your favorite pizza joint and buy the largest pineapple pizza or Hawaiian pizza with extra pineapples
mhm,
and take it to your dad and walk in unannounced and put it on the kitchen table and just say, 'Dad, come on, let's eat.'"
mhm,
And it was just that little thing, that little act of kindness that got them to be able to start opening up to each other
yeah.
and sharing their fears. And the next day, his dad called me, said, "I don't know what you did. I don't know how you did it, but Ethan is back in my life.
Mhm,
And I'm so happy." And I said, "And you enjoyed the extra pineapple, didn't you?" And he
mhm.
started laughing. Making difference in people's lives, nothing better.
Mhm,
We all doom scroll through social media, right? And we'll see someone we know post something that's not in their character. And most of us just write it off and say, "Oh, he's having a bad day," and continue scrolling. not me. I stop and I call that person and I say, I saw your post, Susie, and it didn't sound like the person I know. What's going on?
Mhm.
And it's their cry for help without being completely transparent.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for someone to listen. They're waiting for someone to reach out and just be a friend and listen. Listen to your friends. Take time out of your life to be present with your friends.
Mhm.
You never know when someone's going through a hard time. You
Yeah.
never know. And they're little signs, and you need to be able to recognize those signs and in those moments, put them in front of your goals and just be there for them.
Mhm.
That's how we improve this world, one interaction at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, John, yeah, so many nuggets of wisdom to go away and implement and think about that. So if people want to connect with you, hear more about your program, about your book, I'll pop the link to the TEDx talk in the show notes. And obviously your details. But yeah, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and connect with you?
There are two websites. My name, John Kippen, spelled with two T's,
Mhm.
KITTEN.com,
Yeah.
and KippenCoaching.com.
Okay.
And for anyone who wants my book, go to johnkippen.com/free gift. It'll give you a form with to fill out your name and email address and phone number. And then you'll get a link to download a free copy of Playing the Hand You Were Dealt. And the forward is written by the one and only Jamie Lee Curtis, who's
Hmm.
been a lifelong friend of mine.
Wow.
And it's a fun read. It's an easy read. It's written as there are no chapters in the book. They're acts and scenes because I was a theater guy.
Hmm.
And it's filled with QR codes that when you're reading it, you click on the code, or if you have the hard copy, you scan it with your phone, and it takes you to a secret area on my website where there's videos
Cool.
um, that go along with what I'm talking about in the book.
Hmm.
Kind of my version of scratch and sniff.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Little extra interaction. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. And is there anything else you would like to add before we finish our conversation this evening?
Just remember you are enough just the way you are. Don't let anyone else tear you down.
Mhm.
You're enough. You're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a choice, it's your choice.
Hmm.
Remember, happiness is a choice.
Yeah. Oh, powerful. You're like speaking to my soul. So I'm sure anybody else who's listening will feel that yeah, that
And I
personal.
apologize for coughing. I don't know. I swallowed something wrong and
Oh
it
no,
made
you're
me
all
cough. So I
good.
apologize for that.
You're all good. Thank you so much for being here today. And yeah, everybody go and give John a follow. And then yeah, sign up for that
I'm
free.
on Facebook and I'm Instagram and I'm LinkedIn. I'm not on X. And
Yeah.
I'm sort of on TikTok.
Cool. Amazing. Well, I will pop the links in the show notes so people can go track you down. And it's been such pleasure connecting with you this evening. And hey, if I'm ever, in LA,
Look me up.
come see you.
I'll
That would
make you disappear.
yeah, brilliant.
And thanks again, Susie, for what you do. You
Oh
know,
no, thank you.
you bringing on guests to your show to introduce to your followers and people who love to listen to your accent and just to spend an hour just learning
Yeah.
learning from other people's experiences. That's an amazing gift you give everyone else.
Oh,
So thank you for that.
amazing. Thank you. Well, I will look forward to catching up with you in the World Wide Web somewhere. Um,
Excellent.
Thank you for your time today, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye bye.